What's good, YouTube? What's good? I thought that I'd come here and give you some real talk time. I want to tell you about the time my uncle visited me. My uncle has been gone for now. I'm 43, so he passed away when I was 15. No, I wouldn't say 15 because I graduated from middle school. My grandfather passed away when I was 15. He passed away when I was 13. So that was almost 30 years ago. Okay. Okay, well, my uncle, he loved to ride bikes, okay? And bikes was his passion. He loved to ride bikes. He loved to fix bikes. He loved to do his guitars in his spare time, but bikes was it for him. He was my uncle was one of a kind. He was one of those uncles that, he had a distinctive look. When I say distinctive, I mean like a look where you knew that he was here for a purpose, and that purpose was just the only purpose. You just didn't know what he was here for, and he would have to leave very soon. So he passed away. He got hit by a car on in San Francisco. I forgot, fell in Baker. That's where he got hit, and it was excruciating. It was hard, and come to find out, the driver was drunk. When they went back and forth to court, my grandfather and my grandmother, they found out that the man was drunk. Well, anyway, my uncle had sat at San Francisco General Hospital all night long. My grandmother lived like directly across the street from San Francisco General Hospital. When I say directly across the street, I mean like across the street where she can leave, walk out her door, walk across the street, and walk to the emergency room, and you're there. And so he was towed back. They said that half of this was messed up. He had busted lips. He had busted eyes. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. And when I was a kid, I didn't quite understand death at a kid age. It scared me, and we all took it hard because it was a surprise thing. It was like out the blue. You know what I'm saying? We wake up and he's gone. Everybody got the news. My sister, I remember when my sister came and told me. She came downstairs to my friend's house, and I was down there being bad, being a typical teenager. And she was like, we called him, it was supposed to be Junior, but because we're so country, we said Junior. So she was like, Junior died. He got hit by a car. And I'm like, what? And I'm ran upstairs, and everybody was at my house. At around that time, my mom's had her boyfriend. He was mean. It was like when he was drinking, he was nice as shit. And then when he's sober, he didn't give a. You know what I'm saying? He would talk down on her, and he would talk crazy. And don't get me wrong, she would do the same thing. And so that was one day where he was cutting up and acting a fool until that news came, and they broke that news to my mother. My mother was like, she was quiet, and so he got dressed, and he was walking back and forth saying he was sorry and so on. So we're the type of family where when bad things happen, everybody used to gather up at my grandmother's house. It don't matter what it was. If it was Halloween, everybody gather up there. If it was just Christmas, we'd gather up there first. And so we were all there, and it was just terrible. It was terrible, terrible. And then maybe the next day, it hit the newspaper, and my grandfather had the news. And that, as a kid, that was the first time I seen my grandfather cry. When he read it, he kept reading it, and when he would read it, he would give the paper to my other uncle, who was like 19 years old. And he would cry, and he would cry, and he would cry. The funeral was a hard thing that was the most hardest time. Everybody gathered at my grandmother's house. My grandfather prayed before we left because he was a pastor. And when we got to the funeral, I knew funerals, but I didn't expect what I expected. I was going to go to the bathroom. And when I walked past the open part for the church, there he lied there. And that, I broke down. Ah! And my auntie ran over to me and she jumped and she screamed and she hollered. And they had to take us out of the church, calm us down, and then we had to go in. And I can just remember that. It's so emotional. And because you go back, and now that I'm an adult, I understand death. And it's like, I'm not editing this. So, if you see me just cry, it's because it was so sad, guys. Like, literally, it was a, it was, it was a death that just literally came out of nowhere. Like, you wonder, like, as a kid, I didn't wonder. I just was like, oh, like, why did this have to happen? But you wonder why you're hit with those type of things. And it's like, my grandfather, he pray a lot. He's a pastor. He pray for people. So what happened? What did we do to deserve this? What did he do to deserve to get hit by a car and flown thousands of feet away from his bike? And so it was hard. The funeral was very, very hard. The funeral was hard. It was. And, once we got through it and over it and went back to grandma's house, it was, we were fine, but it took some years for us to get over it because it was a unexpected death. But there is a reason why I'm telling this story. And I know that I put you guys through a lot in this story. But one day, my mom and my auntie, I would always dream about him. Always. I would dream that he's coming up my grandmother's stairs with his bike. I would dream that he was at my grandmother's house. I would dream that he'd be riding his bike. But one particular night, I was in the house by myself, me and my daughters. Bad enough, my daughter, when she was little, she always seen her great grandmother and her grandfather, who passed away when she was 2. And she knew him. So she knew who he was, but he would always visit her, she said. He would always visit her. And so I'm fast forwarding because I'm older when I'm telling you this now, as I already had my daughter. So I'm already about, 20, 21. And we were home alone. My auntie and my mom and my cousin just popped up and went to Reno. And I was in the house by myself. I was so scared. I was so scared. And at that time, it was just me and my mom and my daughter. Her boyfriend didn't move in with us right away. So I went in the room. We went to sleep. And I was so afraid. I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And when I woke up, I seen a bike sitting on my wall. I kid you guys not. I would never, ever come and just tell this story lying. I'm serious. I woke up and I saw a bike and I said, oh, I must be dreaming. I'm dreaming. And I tried to go back to sleep, but I was afraid, still afraid. And he told me, and I seen this, he was sitting on the side of the bed. Like, my bed was sitting up against the wall, and then there was a way for the walkway, and then there was the window on the other side. But he was on the side where you walk in the room at, and he sat right at the wall, on the next to the bed. And he just was sitting there like this, like how I'm sitting. And he had a big black coat on. And he said, you and Toriel go to sleep. I'm watching you guys. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. And for some odd reason, I was scared, but then a comfort of taking my fear away came over me, and I wasn't afraid no more. And I went to sleep. And then when I woke up the next morning, he was gone. He was gone. And I went in my living room and my window was open. I'm like, how did the window get open? And I closed the window, but the sun just shined bright in front of the window, and it never, ever did that. Whew, I got my daughter dressed, got ready for school, went downstairs to my grandmother, and I told her, and she was like, oh, yeah, he was there. He was there. He was there. And then, my grandmother, she was the type that'd be like, I had a dream about him too last night. He came here last night, probably just before he went to y'all, or maybe after y'all. And I was like, saying to myself, oh, okay. But when I told her that, she said, yeah, that was him. That was him, and I take that with me every day because I know it was him. I know he was there. I know that spirit was there because I seen a bike plain as day, and then I seen somebody sitting on the side of me with a big black coat on, and he told me, "You sleep, you and Toriel, you sleep. Don't worry about nothing. I'm watching y'all, so you can go to sleep. I'ma sit here and watch the house all night long. You go to sleep." And that gave me a comfort. Okay, and when he did that, like the next day, I think my mom and him came home the next day, but from then on out, I was never afraid to sleep in that room or afraid to go to sleep, period, because he came and he comforted me and my daughter. And whether people want to believe it or not, to me, it was real because I was scared as shit, okay? When I tell you I was scared, I was scared. My daughter was sleeping, but I was afraid to be in that house alone. It felt like a presence was there with me that really was uncomfortable. So when I was in and out of sleep, he came there. And my God, I was like,
I just got my hands in white and white.
okay.
It's outside down the yard. I.
All right,
I
let me
got
finish
the
my
yard.
story. Okay.
You want to
So,
see it?
yeah, hold on. And so that's why I came here and I wanted to share that with you guys. I don't share that story with everybody. I just wanted to share it and give y'all real talk time and story time about me seeing my uncle who has passed on. And yeah, my daughter she told me now, because when she was little, she used to see spirits. And so now she told me, she said, yeah, when I was little, I would be at Auntie's house because I would be downstairs by the door playing because her auntie with her great auntie, she had a house, and when you walked in her house, it was a big old space before you hit the garage, so you could sit there and you could take your chair down there. You could even put a little table down there and have your coffee with your friend or whatever. But my daughter used to play down there, and she said when I was little, Mom, I would see people coming in and out. And I said, why you didn't say anything? She said, because I just thought that it was people coming to visit. And it scared the living shit out of me when she said that. She said, I thought that it was people coming to visit. And then she said, I would always wonder why is so many people running in and out this house, but I'd never see them walking around the house talking to y'all. And I was like, oh, Lord. And I never wanted to ever spend a night there either. She would always say, y'all going to come and spend a night at my house tonight? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, we'll try one of these good old days. Her house was haunted too. So that's all I wanted to talk about. So I hope this story encourage somebody to tell their story if you do have one. And I hope that you guys believe me. And if you don't believe me, oh well. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. And it is a real story. It is very real. And I haven't had nobody come and visit me since. So, hey. All right. Y'all be blessed. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you want to hear more about my life, story time, real talk time, come and subscribe to my channel and come and hit that notification button. I will follow you back. I will sub back to you, okay? Y'all be blessed. Have a great night. All right. Bye. Oh, and let me tell y'all something. Remember this. If you are visited by a spirit, don't ever be afraid unless you feel scared and you feel like you don't want that spirit. You don't want to see that spirit or nothing. But if you see somebody that is a loved one or a friend or anybody and they are there, just know that they are there for peace. A good spirit will never come and visit you and scare the living daylights out of you, ever. A bad spirit is the only one that will come and scare the shit out of you. So just remember that, okay? Y'all be blessed and have a great night.